Sonic the Hedgehog, a character so nice the internet made a movie studio design him twice. And honestly, I know this has been said a million times and I don't want to just go around beating a dead horse, but what were they thinking? Basically, what I'm trying to say here is today we're going to sculpt Sonic, and in the end, he's going to look like this.
Meow?
But reference, Peter, where on Google Earth do I get reference? Well, you could go the tried and tested way of yahooing your way to some fantastic results, or you could do what I did and use this image that's included in the collector's edition of the official 25th anniversary Sonic the Hedgehog art book.
Wow, you, sir, are a mouthful.
Then moving on to step 2, blocking out. Grab that reference image and do your best to simplify the hell out of it. Because let's face it, when you boil him down, Sonic's really just a couple of oranges, 4 glow sticks, 2 pyramids of Giza, 4 waffle cones, 2 highly detailed Nike shoes, and a couple of rhinestone-studded gloves.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
Moving on. Grab a bunch of spheres and start arranging them into a shape that if you squint, you'd be like, yeah, I guess that could be Sonic, but it looks more like a small bear doing the splits. Try to take comfort in the fact that no matter how experienced you are, your model is going to look bad at this stage. So when people ask, just lie. Are you making Sonic? No, I'm making a bear. And he's doing the splits. Anyway, now seems like as good a time as any to introduce a new segment I'm calling Sonic Facts with Peter. I'm Peter, and these are the facts. Did you know that the original name for Sonic was Mr. Needlemouse? Well, it doesn't matter if you knew or not because it's not true. And that's because his original Japanese name was actually Mr. Hedgehog, which someone then tried to translate into English who was apparently not very good at translating Japanese into English. So he's just like, I don't know, Mr. Needlemouse? And then everyone just ran with it. For 30 years, everyone just ran with it and nobody ever bothered to check with the actual developers until one day Sega released a quiz and the developers were like, who is Mr. Needlemouse? Moving on. Now you might be wondering, Peter, is it time for some sculpting tips yet? I'm loving these hard-hitting sculpting facts, but how about some tips? Well, rest easy, because this next segment is definitely for you. A little something I like to call top tips. So I think we can all agree that sculpting hands is tough. But what if there was a simple formula we could follow that not only produced great results, but also cut our sculpting time in half? That's right, from now on we're going to exclusively sculpt characters without hands. I'm talking Pac-Man, Goombas, Jamie Lannister, this guy, Mega Man, but with 2 cannons. And the list probably goes on.
I rest my case.
You rest your case?
What? Oh no, I thought that was just a figure of speech. Case closed.
Here you can see I'm adjusting the quills at the back of Sonic's head. If we were just going off the original reference image, it would be really difficult to tell how many quills he had and where exactly they were located, so it's always a good idea to get more than just one reference. Especially if you're able to get the character from a few different angles, because that's going to be really invaluable when it comes to sculpting. I personally was able to find this one. It's from the same book that I mentioned at the start, and it's called A Character Turnaround. It's one of the more useful character references you can get, but if your character isn't very well established and may only have one angle, don't worry too much about it because then you just get to make up whatever you can't see. Ugh, Peter, enough of this information already. Tell a story. Okay, settle down, story enthusiasts, because it's time for a story. So when I was a wee lad, I would go to a babysitter's house after school. And when my house had 0 video game consoles, her house had every video game console. So she had a Nintendo, a Super Nintendo, and a Sega Genesis. I should mention that she had kids as well. It wasn't like a weird Charlie and the Chocolate Factory situation where she was soliciting kids to come into a video game wonderland. Regardless, this is where my love for Sonic the Hedgehog came from, and I only ever played the original game, and I didn't make it much past the first level because video games used to be impossible. Also, I was a child. I'm not sure if you've ever actually sat down and watched a kid try to play a video game, but they are terrible. Although, to be fair, it feels like a lot of these old video games really were never meant to be beaten by a child. Like, have you ever played like Disney's Aladdin or The Lion King? Those games are ridiculous. Or even seen the documentary King of Kong? There is no way the original Donkey Kong was ever meant to be beaten by a kid. And maybe you're now sitting there thinking, I actually managed to beat all those games when I was a little kid? Then I'd like to offer my apologies and also my congratulations. You actually win all the points in a game that I've titled Nobody Cares. Back to the Sonic sculpt, and I'm just now going through and cleaning up all the really harsh transitions that you get whenever you merge a lot of different shapes in together, trying to make him feel like he's one connected body and not just a bunch of individual pieces. Everything that takes place now though really is just small corrective shapes. You'll probably find that you can get your model to 80% complete quite quickly, and then the last 20% really starts to drag because it really is just fine-tuning a lot of the shapes you've already created. And then last, but certainly not least, don't forget to paint your model. One change that I did end up making from the original reference was his arm color. Classic Sonic actually has the same color that appears on his belly and on his muzzle on his arms again, which gives me the impression that for whatever reason he's decided to shave them, which I guess would be helpful for wind resistance purposes, but it's just not for me. And that's it, we're all done. If you made it to the end, your reward is getting to see Sonic spin around exactly 2 times. Please do not rewind the video to make Sonic spin around more times, that's actually illegal.